welcome to Season 3, Episode 39, also known as Episode 111 of the Retro Game Club podcast. I am Hugh, and joining me is someone who's been playing Sonic the Hedgehog in his car for years, Rob.
Yeah, I don't see how that's a new thing. I mean, Game Gears did exist, but I guess their batteries don't last long enough.
Yeah, the Game Gear's kind of hard to use while driving. I've certainly seen people on the road attempting it.
Yeah. So you all will get that from we'll reference it in a news item soon. But what's been going on?
Not a lot. You know, I was realizing that next year is 2022, obviously, unless we skip a year. And that means a lot of games are turning 40. Like a lot of really cool arcade and early home console games are turning 40. So I'm already starting to kind of plan in my head, like doing some sort of like summer of 1982 theme for a while.
I like it.
We kind of revisit games you would have played on summer break in 1982. Kind of theme.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, you know, things you do to play, you know, at home while sitting next to your big box fan, or if you manage to walk to the arcade and find a quarter on the ground.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's about it for me. I've been trying to, you know, just general holiday stuff, you know, decorating, all that good stuff. All the stuff you see in a Hallmark movie, pretty much.
You've been living it.
Yeah. That's pretty much what our house looks like this time of year. So, what have you been up to?
Oh, man. I mean, I've been busy with work. I know you have too. If anyone's seen the news, there's been a horrible kind of internet exploit that has taken up a lot of IT people's time. So, but dealing with that, but at the same time, I've actually been playing a lot of games. I beat Skyward Sword. I started Kenna, Bridge of Spirits, which is a PS4, PS5 game. It is absolutely gorgeous, and the gameplay is fantastic. I do recommend it. However, I am not going to beat it because the difficulty level gets pretty high and on bosses, and that's not the game that I wanted. You know, it kind of ends up being a Souls-like. And nothing against that. I may jump back into this. It is a very good game, but I just didn't want that right now.
Oh, yeah, so I think I saw a trailer for this game. Is it like a kind of a Breath of the Wild ripoff?
It looks a little bit like Breath of the Wild, but it doesn't play like it. And actually, when you get into it, it's actually it plays more like Uncharted, actually, with scaling and exploration. The climbing around and stuff doesn't really work like Breath of the Wild, but it is bright and beautiful and green.
Okay.
I would recommend it. I know you often, with certain games, will just put it on easy and power through it, which, you know, I'm glad you do that. That's just not in me. You know, I would rather just maybe put it on YouTube and watch it instead of doing that. You know, I kind of feel like the developers beat me when I did that. So I refuse to bring down the difficulty level. But
oh yeah, see, this has been a new thing. This is a fairly recent trend for me. I didn't do that regularly until now, but I just have too many games in my backlog. You know, I can't spend hours like trying to get through one stage in a game.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's why, you know, I may jump back into this. I may just watch some on YouTube, but don't take that as like a bad thing. Like, this is a good game, just not for me right now. At night, you know, while chilling out on the couch or whatever, trying to fall asleep, I've been playing Yuji Naka of Sonic fame. He just released a new mobile game called Shot 2048. And it is very simple and addictive, and it's not what you think it would be. It's actually a very mobile game where if you didn't know it was Yuji Naka, you could never guess. You would just think it's just another random mobile game, but I like it a lot, actually. You just roll, I think it's 12-sided die, and they always have to land on the other side of the line. That's kind of like 2/3 of the way down the board. And each die has a number. You start out pretty much everything like 2, 4, 6, 8, 16. Eventually you get 64. But anytime 2 die of the same number collide, they combine and double. So if 2 16s hit, they get a 32. Mm-hmm. And your object is just to see how high and how many of the die you could get. So, your first goal is to try to get a 2048 die. And right now I'm at a 496, but I haven't gotten higher than that. It's really fun and mindless, and it's something I really needed, I think. This time of year sometimes.
Just luck? Sorry, is it just based on luck?
There's a little bit of skill because you kind of figure out how the die can bounce off each other, and when they do collide with the same number, they kind of pop up in the air, and that can make other die hit each other, and you could have kind of a popcorn or a mousetrap effect. So which feels really rewarding when you pull something like that off. I would call it a very simple puzzle bobble type thing. Other than you aren't like going at an angle, it's always like shooting it straight down. But yeah, and I would say, the random no skill level would be, there is kind of a pachinko feel to it as well. But I highly recommend it. If you do get it, pay for it. You could pay $6 and get the ads removed. The ads are pretty obnoxious. And what else? I just started The Red Lantern. It's an indie game on the Switch where you play, it's a first-person game, which is unusual for me to play, where you play a woman who just kind of, and I'm sure this resonates with everyone right now, kind of gave up everything, moved to Alaska to be alone with her dogs, but she doesn't really know anything about it, so it's kind of learning how to, have the dogs mush, and learning how not to be eaten by bears out in the wilderness and hunt for your own food. And it's a really charming, beautiful, cel-shaded game. A lot of dialogue. It's very positive. Even when something bad happens, it's kind of on a positive spin where you get to try again. And I guess the story is some, great aunt you had never met or something left you this cottage in the woods that you're trying to get into to live for a while. And, at the beginning of the game, you get to pick your dogs from different breeders as you're driving through Alaska. It's like, well, we need 6 dogs and we have 10 stops. And, they kind of go over the different personalities of each of the dogs you're adopting, so you could kind of get your family together in a different way. And I am really enjoying this game. This game's subtitle could be all the stuff Rob is too big of a wuss to do that he can now do in a game. Mm-hmm. So it's a cheap game. I definitely recommend it. Especially if, this time of year, sometimes it's not too fun in the colder climates to go outside. This can kind of help you with that maybe. And yeah, that's...
No, you can't pick up like, you don't get to pick out like dachshunds or something, right? You have to pick out actual like dogs that are appropriate for the game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no chihuahuas or anything.
Okay.
That would be very funny though, but I've only played it for like 2 hours, and I'll tell you what, I am really enjoying this game. Again, it's kind of one of those games where you could be kind of doing 2 things at once. There's not a lot of skill involved. It's more of just kind of learning how the wilds work and sometimes just dealing with the randomness of it. And yeah, I know that was kind of a lot, but yeah, a lot of good stuff there. I guess this episode is our year-end review of news topics that we didn't feel like talking about, right?
Yeah. And looking at the list, I understand why we did not talk about 100% of these.
Yeah. So our listeners kind of know how our system works. We have a Google Doc, it's a Google Doc, a Word document that we'll just throw news items on there, and sometimes if we have too many, we'll throw them up into kind of maybe we'll use this in a different episode. And also, sometimes we'll just be like, you know what, I don't know if I want to talk about that. Let's just move it into the save area. And once it sits there long enough, we're like, no, you know what, this is just too dumb to talk about. And here we are.
Yeah, here we are. Did you want to talk about Zach's analog review first? Analog Pocket review?
Yeah, why not? Yeah, so Zach was lucky enough to get a Pocket in its first order, which was many, many, many months ago. And also, I was actually able to get one this time. I have no ship date, so I'm sure it's sometime in mid-2022. Did you end up getting one?
I didn't even try. I was dealing with the aforementioned massive security vulnerability that was in the news this week.
Yeah,
I
caused
wasn't
by...
responsible for it, but I have a number of... I support a number of systems that if they were compromised, it would be very, very bad. So I was like, the day it went on sale, I don't think I looked at any non-work things till like the evening. And even then it was just a couple minutes.
Yeah. Well, I lucked out. I actually scheduled my lunch around it and it worked out. But Zach got his in the mail and was able to play with it quite a bit. And he wrote down a lot of notes here. I'm going to go through them kind of quickly because there are a lot of, reviews out there on YouTube. He does say, it feels amazing in your hand. The screen is second to none. It's nice and big and bright with, great color spectrum. It just feels like real hardware. It has a Game Boy inspired mode, I guess, where the screen is, the green, yellow kind of color, and it just looks real, like a real Game Boy used to. It has a Virtual Boy inspired theme that he says is not good. I have not seen that in any of the reviews, actually. And the GBA mode looks, great, where it, crops it the correct way. He has a few Game Boy games that he tested out, and they all worked fantastic. He even had a Flash to Advance cart, which had the Minish Cap on it, and it worked fine. I don't know I've never heard of Flash to Advance. That must be a multi-cart, right? I feel like this is something I should definitely know.
Must be. It looks like it, yeah. I mean, if I see it, yeah, it's some old thing. You have to have like it looks like it requires a PC and installation disk. I mean, there's probably drivers for other OSs now. Yeah,
definitely a proto EverDrive type thing. I was peppering him with questions about the operating system because I don't know if all of you remember, but a few months ago, Analog had a big event. Everyone thought it was going to be the release of the Duo. It ended up just being something about their operating system, where it would have sharing and screenshots and I think game saves and all this stuff. And he said, you know why people aren't reviewing that right now? They're just not there yet. They're literally grayed out. So a big of a disappointment there. It does not come with a USB-C cable or charger. Since he is an Apple user, he was a bit irked by that they just assumed. Maybe, they should give you an alert saying like, hey, you may want to go out and buy one of these. And it makes you update your firmware right away. He said was kind of annoying, but I kind of expected that, What else? The dock also has a firmware update that's not as easy to install, but he said the dock does work fantastic. There's not really any lag time added or anything like that. He did want to warn our listeners that if you do buy one of these with a dock, definitely read the list of supported controllers, because it says it supports 8-bit DOE controllers, but it doesn't support all of them. They don't tell you that part. And he hasn't checked out the Game Gear adapter yet, but he'll let us know when he does. He got a Switch Pro controller working. It just worked fantastic. And he really gives the Pocket hardware a 10 out of 10. For the current firmware, a 9 out of 10. And for the dock and the difficulty, it gave him a 7 out of 10. So pretty good score there. So thank you so much, Zach, for writing all that down. It was pretty detailed and makes me even more excited to finally get one. Yeah, let's go over some really stupid news.
All right. You should probably stop listening around now. All right. So things we decided not to talk about. First one. Even Atari's reanimated corpse is getting in on the NFT grift.
Yeah,
So this is about the company that calls themselves Atari is going to be doing something with NFTs. And I don't really care what they're doing with NFTs.
Yeah. I kind of don't care what anyone's doing with NFTs. Especially Atari. And then there was another news item that all it was someone bought a brand new Nintendo 64 DD dev kit and opened it up. That's it. He took it out of a box.
So this story would be 1,000 times better if instead of opening it, he sent it to that YouTube channel that crushes things in a hydraulic press.
Yeah, or the YouTube channel where they put stuff in a microwave. Yeah.
Yeah, this seems kind of big for microwave and would definitely explode the microwave.
Exactly. Yes.
Like if I ever, yeah, listen, write this down, put this on record. If I ever find a sealed copy of Earthbound, it didn't come in shrink wrap, but it was a cardboard box. So you could tell whether it's been opened or not. If I ever find a brand new in-box Earthbound, I'm sending it to the hydraulic press channel, guys.
Yeah.
That is my promise.
What else do we usually have all these stories open in advance, but I decided to leave them closed this time. But I'm opening as we go.
Right. It's like opening a bad Christmas gift every time you click on these.
Or buying 100 lotto tickets are already losers. Yeah. So apparently Mario once had a suggestive ad. That's it. It's just a poster or a print ad. And it's for looks like one of Mario's soccer games. And it just has two soccer balls in a bag that kind of look like something very suggestive. Yeah, that's news.
That's something. An article called Windows 95, How Does It Look Today? So this is someone reviewing Windows 95. And at first I thought it was kind of interesting because it talks about installing Windows 95 in a virtual machine and how you can get the drivers to work and that kind of stuff. But then as I read it, I realized like the author of this has never used Windows 95 before.
Yeah.
So I had to be like, okay, it's kind of interesting to see someone struggling with Windows 95 when like I see so many of the problems they're having. I'm like, oh, well, that's easy to fix. You can fix that. You can fix that. You can fix it. Like,
yeah, it would be more interesting.
These are all fairly easy things.
Yeah, it would be more interesting if like, I remember a few years ago, someone spent a month where he only used his Mac Classic for internet, for anything. He didn't use, I think he had like a not smartphone that he used for, when you had to call people, but like that was kind of interesting. This is just someone who's never used Windows 95 looking at it. What else?
So that's a thing. Nintendo GameCube transformed into flower pot.
Oh yeah, I think that this.
In other words, how to destroy a perfectly functional GameCube.
Yes. That's it. Someone did that, and a website reported on it. Let's see. Playing Super Mario 64 in your browser. I think at this point we had been talking about Mario 64 on various things and various hacks that we were just like, no more. We need a break.
Yeah. Now I still like talking about Doom running on various things. Mario 64 I'm sort of less interested in, mostly because I think any Mario 64 project will just get taken down. Like whoever owns the IP for Doom at this point doesn't really care what you do with the original Doom game. They will so gladly sell it to you for $5, but if you get it somewhere else and run it on your toaster, they don't really seem to be interested in shutting that down.
Yeah. Now let's see if... Okay, so the decompiled project is still up here. on GitHub. But let's see if Super Mario 64 in the browser is still there.
It is not on the site right now.
Nope, it is gone.
It's down.
There you
go. Super Mario Brothers is actually a 3-person co-op game as long as you play it like this. So the idea here is that they have one person on the D-pad, one person on the B button, and one person on the A button. Make it a 6-player game this way. Like, who cares?
Yeah. I mean, that doesn't sound good for anyone. Oh yeah, this is kind of old news now, but a new investment scheme lets you buy shares of a Nintendo World Championships cartridge, and we already, reported that this was a big ripoff from WATA, right?
Yeah. I think we talked about a sealed Super Mario Brothers, right?
I think this is all part of the same baggage. It's all the same scam. Did you end up watching, there's like a 2-part series now about the investigative guy and the lawyer that went into all the WATA stuff and how deep it goes?
Oh, no, I didn't. I already considered them to be kind of sketchy, so I...
Oh, yeah. However sketchy you think it is,
yeah,
it's fascinating, actually, how bad these guys are. Look out if you're going to Super Mario World theme park in Tokyo because some Goombas were falling over on rides. That's a news item.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there you go. Can you go to Japan right now? I don't even know what the travel restrictions are.
I think America will let you go to Japan, but Japan doesn't want anyone there for a little bit right now. I think they closed the borders again.
Okay.
But
so
now if
officially not a problem.
If a Goomba fell on like you or me or one of our listeners, I think that'd be worthy talking about, but not just the fact that in general they have fallen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, thing falls at amusement park doesn't seem like the kind of cutting edge reporting that I expect to find.
What else?
I don't believe anyone was crushed. I don't think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was caught on one of their security cameras, it falling over. I think that's it.
That's it.
A robot arranged 100,000 dominoes into a Super Mario Brothers mural in one day. So, a lot of dominoes, boring news. Super Nintendo
did they
World...
knock it down?
Yes, I did watch the video. Yes, they did knock it all down. Super Nintendo World merchandise is now available at Universal Studios Hollywood.
Wow. I was just thinking that I have not bought any overpriced plushes in a long time.
Yeah, and again, if you go to Super Mario World, definitely buy something. Have something to remember your experience by. But we don't have to report on it being sold at certain places. Why new Nintendo games like, what's that? Paprium? Is that how you pronounce that?
Paprium? Mm-hmm.
Yes. Are still being released for Sega Genesis. Because people like programming and playing them? I'm going to go ahead and say that's what the article says.
I feel like that's probably the answer.
I'm not going to read the article.
I mean, you're not going to make a lot of money doing it, but you can.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you might, but you probably won't. But hopefully you may have had a great time making it and people enjoy playing the games. That's it.
Yeah. To me, it's like, why are people still making death metal albums, right? Like, I don't think, are people still buying death metal? I don't even know.
I think
but
so.
It's the same kind of thing. Like, maybe in Sweden, right? Or Norway, wherever it's popular.
Yeah.
But it's a niche thing, right? Like, you're not going to become a billionaire doing it, but maybe you just find it fun to do.
Exactly.
Why are people playing golf if they're not going to become a professional golfer?
Exactly. Let's see. Yoshi apparently had a different name at some point.
Well, the different Yoshis had different names. I think is what they're saying.
Oh, okay. Well, okay, that's fine. There's news. Let's see. Airzonk is video game equivalent to a sugar rush.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I didn't even read this article. I'm not even opening it. That's the title, though.
It's just someone talking about how they like Airzonk, which is a fine thing to write about, I guess. This next title's in all caps, so. Vintage arcade used negative voltage to turn volume up to 11.
There you go.
All right.
There was an arcade cab that was a little bit loud. That's all. What else do we have? Moons of Ardan mixes Factorio with city builders in space. I don't even know why this was in here. Maybe I thought there was something retro about this, but it's really just like a new game that has nothing to do with retro. I think that's why this one got cut. And the fact that I can't pronounce like 3 of the words in it. But that's my problem.
Mm-hmm.
How Nintendo censored Ocarina of Time's 3DS remake, I'm sorry. I forget this one. What did they censor in this?
Yeah, well, some of it they referenced stuff that was removed in like the first reprint of the original Ocarina of Time. And that they generally made it more cartoony. And then removed some symbols that could be interpreted as religious, even though they probably weren't.
Yeah. I think out of all the articles, this is probably the most relevant one. This is probably the one that was closest to not being removed.
The next one, it was very close to not removing also. But then I said we talked about enough of these already. So this is a review of the $39 HK1 Android box. I looked and you can get this on Amazon, but it's more than $39. No, not much. It's like $45. And this is basically taking this little piece of Android hardware and making it into, an emulation station device. It's actually a fairly powerful little piece of hardware for $40.
Yeah, it looks like it plays Saturn and Nintendo 64.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like if you want to do Raspberry Pi, but you don't want to like mess with all the Raspberry Pi stuff, like this seems like a pretty good alternative.
Yeah.
Hold on. So if I go HK1 Android box, let me see what these are. Again, we're not sponsored by HK1, whoever that is. So they have there is a different thing that looks very similar on the Amazon called Android TV Box 11 Smart TV Box RK3318 2 gig 16 gig what support 2.4G 5.8G, that's not a thing, with mini backlit keyboard Ethernet LAN 3D 4K video Android box set top TV box. That's the description word for word.
Wow.
So, yeah, and this has a remote control and like a really kind of junky pad. The HK1 box that was reviewed is now all the way up to $65 on Amazon. So I'm guessing people must be buying a lot of them, or at least enough for them to jack up the price a little bit. But then this gets me into the rabbit hole. This is the problem with this article. Like, then I go to like the customers also viewed, and it's just like page after page of these things. Like, there's just a 100 of these things on Amazon, and it's like, oh, maybe I should just get one. I play around with it a little bit, and then it just keeps going and going. Like, did you look at the customers also viewed on any of these?
No,
it's nuts. Yeah, and I have to talk myself out of buying one of these. Like the Magic Cube 10, which seems like the same device. All right, I better close my browser here before.
Yeah,
spend
no,
$50 on this.
you could just use Raspberry Pi. It's simple. Just use Laka or something. They're already pre-built images. You already have the hardware. And let's see, the ridiculous chronology of River City / Kunoi-kun series. So I like the authors of this. I'm a fan of their podcast, but this, and it's actually kind of a lot of detail they give about the River City chronology. The topic itself is just kind of mind-numbing, I guess, right?
Yeah, that was the problem. I put this in the notes and then I took it out because I forgot that I don't really, I'm not really interested in River City Rampage or Ransom. What's it called? River City, wait, what's the real name of the
River
series?
City Ransom. Yeah.
The River City series.
Yes.
Just never been into it. So I guess the chronology is messed up, but
Yeah, I think none of us were really that into that series, so we just cut it. So really this is kind of one where it's like, the authors did a great job, it just wasn't for us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you're right. The guy that wrote this is a very good writer and has written a number of things I'm sure we featured. So
what is this next one? I don't remember this at all.
This was a game that came out in January. Yeah, you don't remember this one at all?
No.
Okay. So this was a news article all the way from January of this year, but it's about a Christmas game, so I took it out because who wants to talk about Christmas games in January? So it's a new Sega Master System game, a homebrew game called Garbage Field Saves Christmas. And it's like an interactive fiction game with, what looks like MS Paint graphics.
Yes.
And a really weird, demented story.
Weird. Yeah, and it's for the Master System?
It is for the Master System, yes.
Okay, yeah, those graphics kind of made me uncomfortable. Very strange.
Yeah.
And then I'll let you take this next one since you did the intro for it.
Yeah, so this is actually an article we cut from this episode. We were debating whether or not to include news at all in this episode, and then this came up, and I said, you know what, I don't want to talk about this because it's dumb. But the headline is, soon Teslas will be able to play Sonic 1 for some reason. So I guess in your self-driving Tesla, you can now wrap yourself around a tree while playing Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah, gotta go fast. So that is all our news items. I'm sure we should have cut more news items. There were a few where we were like, why are we talking about this? But
yes.
Yeah, I think in 2022, we're going to maybe cut our news section a little bit, trim it down to the most exciting news items, and maybe talk about our games a little bit more.
Possibly, yeah.
I guess we should talk about some Game Club, huh? Did we have anything else between these? I know this episode's a bit of a different one. Let's see.
No, I gotta get out. Hold on. I still have an Amazon tab open looking at these stupid Android boxes. I don't know what's wrong with me.
They'll probably all be shipped from some Alibaba type site, right? Even though it's from Amazon.
Yeah, one that comes from the Cozy Cost store. And this seems to be someone who just makes a lot of, Android streaming devices, I guess, for lack of a better term. The cheapest one they have is $46.99. And they're going way past 4K. This is 6K.
Is that a thing?
Is that a thing?
I've never heard of that.
I have no idea if it's a thing. All right. Enough of this nonsense. Game Club games. Let's go.
All right. Donkey Kong 94. That was my pick of the week. It is for Game Boy, and it has a kind of Super Game Boy upgrade enhancement to it. But yeah, this is a game that you play, Jumpman Mario, and you got to save Pauline from Donkey Kong, just like the original Donkey Kong. And so This game starts out with pretty much the same 4 levels that Donkey Kong starts out with before it loops again. Once you beat those levels, Donkey Kong does something he doesn't do in the original game, where he gets back up and takes Pauline again, and it goes through this kind of scene where you have to get a quick lock and you unlock a door to chase Donkey Kong carrying Pauline. And then you're now running through the city on, I think, like 97 levels. So back in the day, I remember reading about this and it got great reviews. And I was like, wow, I got to check this out. And I checked it out and I played it for 5 minutes and I just thought, this is Donkey Kong. Who cares? And I never really played it again. You know, a lot of people have talked about it in this podcast and a lot, you know, just in general, how great it is. So I decided to give it another go. And so the same thing almost happened again. And I was like, you know what? I just need to stick with this. And once you get past the original Donkey Kong levels, it becomes really fun. And so I didn't really know that you had different moves. So this really combines Donkey Kong Jr., and Super Mario Brothers 2 USA moves and kind of abilities. So you can jump on top of creatures. You know, you could pick things up and throw them. You could do almost a Mario 64 style high jump, you know, where you, if you're running one direction, if you quickly hit the other direction and jump, you jump super high. You could do a handstand and jump higher that way. Sometimes Donkey Kong will throw stuff down at you. And if you're in handstand mode, then it won't hurt you. And it was really when I started mastering those abilities that this game really clicked for me. And where you realize it's a lot of fun to go through those first levels with these new abilities, because you could really just kind of jump right through them. And, you know, they're no longer difficult. And so I really think that, you know, there's kind of a Guitar Hero effect here, where I think real musicians are horrible at Guitar Hero and vice versa. I think people who would be great at Donkey Kong would be horrible at Donkey Kong 94 and vice versa. I think that's why it took me a while, where I'm kind of decent at Donkey Kong, and this did not click with me at first until I really forced myself to use all those new moves and abilities. You know, you could even, like in the original Donkey Kong, if you grab the sledgehammer, you're stuck with it until the timer runs out. You could throw it in this one and just get rid of it. You can jump through onto different levels or platforms if they're like the girder type things, but you can't jump through like conveyor belts, which, you know, kind of actually killed me a few times because I did it wrong. Yeah, like I said, this was on Game Boy. I think there's a 3DS port, maybe. If you play it on certain adapters, you could get different colors and stuff like that. I played it on the Mister. No, I didn't. I played it on the jailbroken, one of the analog devices that I jailbroke. And it played fantastic on those. Yeah, I think I would give this a big recommendation if you like this sort of thing. I definitely don't think this would be for everyone, but for what it is, it does it very well. What did you think about this one?
Yeah, I like this one a lot. I mean, I played it in the past. I played it again now. I like that you mentioned it's the similarity to Super Mario Brothers 2. It really is like a Donkey Kong Super Mario Brothers 2 crossover game. Some of the new stages, the layouts are a little weird, and there are a few stages I just kind of have a hard time getting through because it isn't real obvious like what you're supposed to do in them. But overall, I think it's a really good game.
It's not easy. This is not an easy game.
It. Yeah. yeah. This is something that for sure, if Nintendo were ever to do like, you know, any Game Boy Classic micro, I guess you can't really make it more micro, but if they were ever to do like, you know, Game Boy on the Switch or some kind of dedicated Game Boy machine, like this to me is the most obvious game that you have to include, other than Tetris and like Super Mario Land.
Yeah, they could make it more micro. Remember that Super Micro? Was it a Game Gear they did that was Super Micro? There was some system.
Well, they did the Super Micro Game Gear, but the screen was so small that human eyes can't actually
Yeah.
like view it.
Let's see. The rankings back in the day were like 9s and 10s and 85%, 89%. So a lot of great reviews back in the day. So yeah, that's about all I have to say about this one. How about your game?
So I picked Dragonfire, a game that I remembered sort of liking. And then playing it again, I did not really care for this game. So it's an older game. I played it on Intellivision originally. I tried the 2600 version too. They're not really that. The Intellivision version looks a little better, but that's about the extent of it. And there's two screens. First screen, you're trying to cross a bridge while fireballs are being launched at you. And then later on, there's like an archer that is also trying to kill you. And then you clear the bridge stage, and now you're in this room where all this treasure and a dragon going back and forth across the bottom, and you got to grab all the treasure before the dragon shoots fire at you. And the dragon shoots fire constantly. And then you clear that, and it repeats, but now a little bit faster. And so on until it becomes unplayable. And yeah, this game's just too difficult for me now. Maybe it was easier back in I wasn't, maybe I'd say it was easier, maybe I was better at it back in the day, but it's just not that much fun, I didn't think. I think the box art is probably the best part of the game.
The box art's incredible. It's like this painted dragon blowing fire. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the gameplay itself, kind of weak. Was not a fan. And I think even for the time, it was kind of a shallow game. What's also really impressive is how your main character can jump while on his knees.
Not an easy feat.
Yeah. Try that in real life sometime.
Yeah. Man, I see this is on the ColecoVision and Apple II. Yeah, I should look at videos, see how those look different. The source code is in public domain now. I'm seeing this on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Do a nice hack of it.
I suppose. I think I looked at it once, figuring maybe. So there is a game called Dragonfire on Apple II. Is this the same game?
Wikipedia says it is.
Okay. Yeah, there's two different games called Dragonfire on Apple II, because of course there are.
Nice.
Let me look at the video here. I mean, the graphics look nice, but it's sure. Whoa. Yeah, the play does not look very good. Like, the dragon doesn't really move. It just shoots fire in different directions. And it's slower. The graphics look kind of like King's Quest 1, I guess.
Yeah, I see a picture of that.
And your character jumps like 40 feet in the air when he jumps. It's absurd. He almost clear like the high fireballs. All right, so what do you think of this game?
Well, so I emulated this. I didn't know what was happening, so I watched a video and I got back into it for a few minutes and it just didn't click with me. I kind of like the graphics though. I don't know why. I think I just like that dragon.
Okay.
But yeah, I did not spend too much time with this one. So I feel like I can't speak too much about it, but yeah, maybe not the best game. Maybe you remembered it a bit more fondly than it really was. But when you don't have that many games as a kid, you could get really good at the not so great games and kind of love them. I think I did that with Fester's Quest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Fester's Quest is. I mean, it's not as bad as people say it is, but it's not a masterpiece.
No. But, like this, if, you don't have that many games, you kind of learn to love it, or maybe don't even know that it's bad, Well, what do you want to play next? We're taking our winter break, so it's going to be probably a few weeks before another episode. So we'll have some time to spend with some games.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Final Doom. Something I've started a couple times and it never really gotten too far, and now that I've decided I'm just going to play games in easy mode, I think I will just play Final Doom on the easiest setting because, as I recall, it's a very difficult Doom game.
So is this a totally different game, or is it just an update to Doom or Doom 2?
It's not like I mean, it's a new game, but it's on the Doom 2 engine.
Okay, so yeah, like you were about to say, it's pretty much just a new WAD for it.
Yeah, but it's sold as a separate game.
Okay, yeah. Cool.
So it's not like the new like Doom episode that was released a year or two ago, right? This is a thing they put in a box and sold.
Yeah. Well, cool. I'm going to do Psychonauts on the PS2. It's not that old. It's 2005, but I think that's retro enough. It's a game I never played that I hear a bunch of people talk about it and reference a lot. So I figured I should probably play it. So if any of our listeners has any stupid news or plays Donkey Kong 94, Dragonfire, Psychonauts, Final Doom, really any retro game that we've ever referenced or not referenced, please email us at email@retrogameclub.net. That is email@retrogameclub.net, or hit us up on Twitter and Facebook and all that. Our link trees in our show notes. You could see all those, and Zach takes care of those. And thank you, Zach, for taking care of all that stuff for so long.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely appreciated.
Yeah. And looks like we got one email this week.
Yeah, from Joe, wishing us happy holidays, and he was pleasantly surprised with the interview with the Cougans we had last week. He said he watches Keith's grandfather all the time on Addams Family, and it's cool to know that they're into classic gaming. He says Batman Returns on Sega CD is a big improvement over the Genesis original. He remembers back in the day that the driving stages looked very good for the time. The platforming stages are a little clunky, but you can choose to just do the driving parts of the game in the options menu.
Yeah.
Which, okay. So he still likes the Super Nintendo game better, though. And let's see. Miss Pac-Man is a big upgrade over the original in many ways. Obviously, just gameplay and visuals. The legal issues surrounding its ownership are definitely weird. He played the emulated version on Namco Museum for PS2, and it's okay, but you can definitely notice it sounds different. And then he wants to give a shout out to a project someone referred him to. It's for the 1993 Capcom arcade game Quiz and Dragons. Have you heard of that game?
No, I haven't. Looks like we have a GitHub link here.
Yeah. And this is a hack for you to change the questions. Which I actually thought about making a hack for like Jeopardy for Sega Genesis. We can change the questions and answers. Like that, it's not hard. Like that stuff's all they don't do any. When I looked at the ROM, it didn't look like any of the text was like encrypted. You know what I mean? Like they didn't compress it.
Yeah.
Not encrypted. Yeah. Compressed is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, this looks cool.
I should see if someone's done that. Well, so all I can find is that someone did a ROM hack of Jeopardy 25th Anniversary Edition for the NES that makes it Battletoads themed.
Okay.
So it's questions about Battletoads, and the characters are the Battletoads.
So Quiz and Dragons was an arcade-only game. Okay, from Capcom. From 92. Huh. Quiz and Dragons sounds like it would be a good name for a hipster brewery. I would go drink beer at a place called Quiz and Dragons. I'm just saying that.
Yeah, or it's an indie band or something.
Yeah, coffee shop, something.
Yeah. Real quick, if you want to email us, how do they do that?
Email at retrogameclub.net. That's email at retrogameclub.net. And yeah, social media questions. What are your favorite 90s PC RPGs? And one person says Fallout. Another person says Ultima 7. Someone says that Donkey Kong 94 is the best Donkey Kong game on any platform. And that could be true, I think.
Well, yeah, I mean it's a matter of opinion. Like what if you like the more modern Donkey Kong games that are really, side-scrolling platformers, right? I mean, it's just a different genre. If you want something that still feels sort of like original Donkey Kong, um, I mean, it's easy to say it's better than the original Donkey Kong or Donkey Kong Jr. I guess that's not too controversial, and it's not controversial to say it's better than Donkey Kong 3.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I still like Donkey Kong 64 a lot, and I liked Tropical Freeze a lot.
Yeah, it's been a while. I have Tropical Freeze. I've still never played it. It's been a while since I've done Donkey Kong 64.
Oh, okay.
I really should check that out again. But that's why we have Game Club, so we could pick games and kind of force ourselves to check out games we may have missed. One quick thing, we're ending 2021 here. We're taking a little winter break. Any favorite game you've played in 2021? Any honorable mentions or anything?
I don't know what my favorite game of 2021 is.
Yeah, I kind of put you on the spot there.
Yeah, I mean, I played, a few RPGs. I don't know what my favorite game of the year is. I ended up liking Bowser's Fury a lot more than I thought I would.
I've heard a lot of people say that.
Yeah, that game's a lot better than I expected it to be. Because like Super Mario 3D World, I sort of liked, but some of the late stages are just like frustrating and meant to torture you. And Bowser's Fury, there's really there are some hard stages, but you don't have to complete all of them. And I never really felt like there was it never felt too difficult. It felt pretty balanced. I mean, like I said, you can go back and do the really difficult stages if you feel like, but you can complete the main game without doing them.
Mm-hmm.
So that was, I don't know, I don't know if that's my favorite game of the year, but it's certainly up there. Did you have a favorite game of the year?
I'm trying to think. It would probably be Super Metroid. 2021 and I think 2022 will be a year or years that I'm really catching up on kind of games that I've missed, whether I just for some reason didn't play them or at that point in my life I really wasn't playing video games. So, I caught up on, Mario Sunshine, Super Metroid, Cotton 2. I'm playing Psychonauts now. Soon I'll play Diablo because I played Diablo 2 and 3, but I think I played Diablo 2, but I think I watched a friend play Diablo, so kind of go through some of those. But I would have to say Super Metroid, maybe Metroid Dread. And, I think Metroid Dread is such a fantastic game because it's one of those games where the first time you get to a boss, maybe the first 2 or 3 times even, you think like, I'm never going to beat this boss. But then, maybe the, second or fourth time it really clicks with you. And then all of a sudden you can't believe that boss was even hard for you. You could just power through him now. And to do that there are a lot of bosses in that game. To do that over and over again in one game and get it right every single time. That's just brilliance, really. And that's really where kind of Bridge of Spirits lost me, where, there were some bosses where I just wasn't going further. I would even kind of cheat and watch a video on how to beat them and still not be able to do it and just think like, life's too short, and Metroid Dread really, really walks that tightrope. So, so Super Metroid or Metroid Dread, can't go wrong with either of those. Yeah, do you know what kind of games you think you'll focus on 2022? You think it'll be 1982 arcade games?
I don't know. I don't know. I was thinking that, 82. I might go back to a few console and arcade games from there. I got to look at like my video game backlog spreadsheet and what I've pre-ordered. I pre-ordered like a ridiculous number of games, so there's probably a few coming in next year that I'll start. I don't know. I keep there's a few games I put off every year. Like I really want to play through like X-Files on PlayStation, and every year I just keep not doing it.
You just got to force yourself to do it.
So stuff like that, yeah. Now that I have like a better like setup for the PlayStation Classic, maybe I'll catch up on some PlayStation games.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah. Well, cool. Well, the next time you all see us, it'll be what seasons? It'll be season 4 for us. So it'll be sometime in January, probably a few weeks from now. I don't think there's going to be any big differences with the podcast. Maybe focus on, just keeping the news items interesting. And thanks again for Zach. He does probably more work than both of us. So big shout out to Zach.
Yeah, I think that's safe to say, yeah.
And I guess see you all next year.
Yeah, Happy New Year, and thanks for listening.